This episode of Adventures in Alchemy is brought to you by the Moon and Magic Planner, 13 Moons of 2020. Plan on magic for 2020. Magic just doesn't happen. You have to plan on it. And this planner has plenty of ideas and spaces for creating magic. It celebrates the moons instead of the months. It follows the cycles of nature. It has pages to share your word of the year, your intentions, an oracle reading for the year. It also has spaces for your incantations, full and new moon rituals, working with waxing and waning moon energy, planner pages to script out your best year, and weekly pages that include the oracle of the week, along with magical notes, spells, and recipes that you may be working with, or experiments, right? And also you can track all of your magical habits here because these habits really build up our own connection to magic in the world. And it's just brimming with magical energy for you to have the most magical 2020 yet. How many times did I say magical? Too many. But go to the show notes and check out the link, or just go to www.dailyalchemy.com and scroll down to about the middle of the page and you'll find a big button that'll take you right there where you can see the brand new gorgeous cover for 2020. Hi, I'm Michelle Martin Dobbins, the creator of dailyalchemy.com and the Moon and Magic Planner. Welcome to another episode of Adventures in Alchemy, where we share tips, techniques, and true stories to support you in using magic, witchcraft, and alchemy to right wrongs, heal generational wounds, create synchronicity, and re-enchant your world. I charm this podcast episode to be of service, to allow divine ideas to come through, and to bring value to all who listen. Now, on with the show. Hey there, welcome to the first episode of 2020. Wait a minute, this is the first one I'm recording in 2020. I think you've already maybe gotten one. I think it came out on New Year's Eve. So it is the first 2020 podcast for Adventures in Alchemy. I am wishing you a fabulous 2020 new year. And today we're going to dive into some misconceptions, 3 in particular, around magic. And when I talk about magic, I mean alchemy, personal alchemy, law of attraction type things, positive mindset things, also spell work and witchcraft and ancestor work and all that good stuff. So I'm kind of lumping that all together in the magical realm. And as I've said, I'm not a big fan of the word law of attraction, but a lot of people understand more of what that says. But in general, for me, the transformation of personal alchemy, spiritual alchemy is more in line with what is good for our soul. So no judgments about, people starting with law of attraction and just attracting things in. I'll talk about that a little bit. So anyway, first misconception is that you have to believe, right? There's a very old saying that's like, I'll believe it when I see it. And then the woo-woo community has kind of changed that around. They're like, you'll see it when you believe it. And I used to eat that one up like popcorn at the movie theater. I don't know about you, but I was like, oh, I have to believe and then I will see. I have to believe and then I will see. And then I realized I have not believed in any of these practices when I've started them, right? I have not believed and I have still gotten results. So, like many practices, spiritual practices, magic practices, I have not really believed that they would work. I was definitely a doubting Thomas, as it were. And yet they still worked. And that's where my belief came in. And even then, there's such a mystery in the universe, at least to me, there still is. And I don't always know why things work. And sometimes things work and sometimes they don't. But I can assure you one thing, you don't have to believe in order for them to work. Being open-minded is definitely helpful, but belief is not necessarily. And it's another one of those interesting words. This just popped into mind, and it wasn't anything that I put in my preconceived show notes, but I remember going to Las Vegas and seeing the show, Chris Angel's show back in the day. I think he has a new one now, but it was called Believe. And the word lie inside of believe was kind of like lit up, like wants you to believe in his magic, but also he's telling you it's a lie. And it's interesting how believe has be lie in it. So I don't know. That could be another one of those word magic kind of interesting things to think about. I haven't researched the meaning behind the word and the etymology of all of it, but I find that interesting. That just popped in my head when I'm talking about believing. So a couple of the things that, well, gosh, almost everything I've done, I have not believed in. Like, I remember making a vision board and putting the pictures. This was one of the first things I did way back. Do you guys remember the Chicken Soup for the Soul books? And there was a story in there called Glenna's Goal Book, and she had put the pictures of all of her goals for life, and they came to be. And I was like, kind of like, hmm, I mean, that would be cool if it happened, right? But would it really happen? Well, I decided to try it with not a whole lot of belief. And that was one of the first things that I did. I'm trying to remember. I think I did that either slightly before or slightly after I joined the Unity Church. I want to say it was before because I called it a goal book when I first made it. And then when I went to the Unity Church, when I was going there, we would make the same kind of thing that people call a vision board now, where you put pictures of things that you want to see in your life happen, on a poster board or in a book or somewhere, and you look at them often. They called them treasure maps in the Unity world. So anyway, I made this and I would look at it every day, and I don't know that I believed. And the interesting thing is, at some point in time, I got busy with life and I put it away. And then when I pulled it out, like 6 months to a year later, like everything in it had happened. It must have been a little bit longer than that, because I think I kind of put it away when I started dating the man who became my husband. And one of the things was to meet a man to marry and to have a child. And those were two of the things in there that happened. And just like everything happened, even there was a desk that I had pictured. And when I found this a few years later, the desk that I worked at the time was that same desk. It was beyond bizarre, right? But did I believe that that was going to happen? I hoped. So I think maybe hope is a little bit better, a little bit more important than belief, because I don't think I believed. Same thing with doing scripting or talking about the things that you want out loud, prayer and journaling, doing spells, working with plants. I definitely like I was called to do all those and I enjoyed doing them. But I don't know that I really believed that they would work until I did them and they worked. And sometimes they don't, to be honest, but most things do, at least a certain way, not always the way that I plan it. One of the things for me that actually, I guess two things for me that I really was very skeptical about. One was like working with offerings and leaving out offerings, but and it's one that it's very subtle but profound change, because it changed me and it gave me a lot of discipline. But it's like things just started going right in my life. And it wasn't like you put a picture of a car on a poster and then you get that car, but it was like one of those things that's hard to communicate in words, but I keep doing it because it created a change in me, a change in my energy, a shift that was subtle but very, very real. So sorry that sounds kind of wishy-washy, but believe me, I would not be keeping doing offerings if I didn't get a result that I really liked, because I'm a little lazy, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, those are some of the things that I didn't believe in. Another is Reiki. I was very skeptical about Reiki. And like even going through and getting the attunements and stuff, I was like, this is weird. This makes no sense, but it worked. And so for me, like that's what's important to me. And I'm going to share a quote for you from Daniel 4. If you're not familiar with Daniel 4, he's amazing. I've never actually met him in person, but I have read his book, and I'll put a link in the show notes to his book, Ancestral Magic. And I've also attended a workshop put on by ancestralmagic.com. If you ever get a chance to do that, it's amazing. But I think I know actually, I've told a story about this because Ancestor Magic has just been like very powerful, very life changing for me, and just brought a lot of synchronicities into my life. And I'm trying to think, I think that maybe it's called Ancestor Magic, the podcast. I'll find a link to the one where I talk about, I had some really interesting synchronicities. I went with my cousin, and my cousin, who I just adore, she and I used to tell everyone we were sisters. We grew up very close, and that we would marry brothers. And this did happen. So genealogically, we're very entwined. We're first cousins who married brothers. So our children are like doubly related. We're from West Virginia. It's a thing. Our husbands are not from West Virginia, but I digress. Anyway, she went with me, and she has a very different spiritual perspective than I. Even she is a Mormon. So, which ancestry is very big in their religion. But here we are, two very different people having very different belief thoughts, but we both just had some amazing experiences from this ancestral medicine. And I don't know that I believed a lot of what was happening, especially when I was at the workshop. I was very skeptical because different people were doing meditations, and people might have a tree or a mountain or an angel or a fairy as their ancestor. And I'm like, yo, this is, it's kind of, my little skeptical side popped up and was like, I don't know how real I believe this is. But here's the thing, guys. It doesn't really matter that I believed because it worked. It has healed so freaking much in my life in the past. When did I go? Like July. Like the past 6 months have been painful, but healing, and it's still going on, but so much of it was initiated and still going on with my work, with my ancestors. So to say, yeah, but this is a quote from Daniel, who is the person who wrote the book, and he's very well trained in several traditions. I think he's trained in the Ifa tradition, and he's worked in a lot of different countries, a lot of like African traditional religions. So he knows a lot about ancestor work, and then he's kind of brought that knowledge to a way that is kind of helping the Western world, if you step into it, get back what we have lost by not working with our ancestors and not acknowledging them. But here's a quote from his Instagram, because when I read this, I was like, yes. He says, I don't believe in ancestors. I also don't believe in the earth or the gods or that I exist or that I don't exist. Belief is a Protestant approach to life, and over time it's come to feel more and more foreign to my own lived experience. Yeah, man, right? So you don't have to believe, right? The thing is, and I don't have a direct quote on this, but I know that Daniel has, said that you don't have to believe, and he doesn't really care if you do or not, but what he has seen is that it works. So that's what's important. And that's what's important in magic, is that you actually take the action and do the things and see what happens. And yeah, don't worry if part of your brain is saying, this is a bunch of bunko. If it feels like something you want to try it anyway, right? So that is misconception number 1. You do not have to believe for magic to work. You do not have to believe it before you see it. I am living proof, and many, many people I know also. So, second misconception, you have to be high vibe, right? You've got to be high vibe, because low vibe people, they don't manifest anything. That don't happen. Well, I'm here to out myself. My name is Michelle. I've suffered from depression and anxiety on and off my whole life, and I've manifested a lot of shit, a lot of good stuff too. I've had some really cool magical experiences, and I've had segments of my life where the anxiety and the depression have been totally gone. And then it's like when I plateau up to a new level, they're kind of, new level, new devil. That's kind of my devil. And so, they come back. And I used to be like real upset with that. And now I just know that that's a sign of a new layer of growth for me. If that comes up, it's a new layer of growth because that's what I go through. Different people may go through different things, right? When they're leveling up different blocks. I have depression and anxiety that come back. Somebody might have money problems that come back or health problems that come back or whatnot. It doesn't mean that you can't have your magic work when you come from a place that's not Mary Poppins love and light. Do I strive to be high vibe? Yeah, I do, because I like to feel good, but I also can be okay with feeling low at times. And I feel like that's kind of the balance in life. Like, how do you know that feeling good feels good if you never feel bad? I think that's part of why we actually live in this dualistic nature, because in our physical bodies, we have to have, something that tastes bad to know what tastes good and pain to know pleasure. It just seems like that's how it works. But I do strive to be high vibe. I just strive to feel gratitude every day, at least part of the day. I strive to make a difference every day. But do I get freak out and upset when, even when I have an emotion that doesn't feel good, when I'm angry, sad, mad? No, no. I just feel it, right? I mean, of course, sometimes I freak out when I'm angry, but most of the time I've gotten to a point of meta awareness where even though part of me is angry, I can feel, oh, Michelle's angry. Cool. This is fun. I'm not saying I could do that all the time, but I really love when I can. But either way, the trick with emotions is just to feel them, right? And like being in those emotions is not going to keep you from manifesting. I know lots of people who have problems with depression, anxiety, anger, and they have manifested and created and done spell work, et cetera, and they've gotten great results. So I really believe that more than high vibe, what it is alignment to what you want. And that doesn't necessarily always mean love and light. And we have to embrace our shadows, to embrace the darkness inside of us, because when we pretend it's not there, then it's really hard to align and actually truly be high vibe. So you don't have to be afraid of your feelings. You don't have to be afraid of being sad. You don't have to be afraid of being mad. You can embrace all of that. And honestly, sometimes that angry energy or that mad energy can be very powerful too. Yeah, you want to kind of be careful how you wield it, but it definitely can be a very powerful energy as well. So just accept your feelings, feel your feelings. Your feelings are not going to mess up what you're creating in the world. The most important thing you can do is just feel your feelings, be there for yourself, and just the more you love and accept all of your feelings and just feel them and not run from them, the easier you'll get to feeling better. So, okay, I've said the word feeling too many times right now, but I think you get the point, right? You do not have to be high vibe. And okay, the third misconception about magic is you have to do it right. I mean, if you don't follow the rules, you guys might already know this is a kind of a crock, right? You don't follow the rules, you're not going to have the result, right? That is like so untrue, right? Like, I do think there is something to be said for doing your best, right? And doing anything the best that you can. And that doesn't mean like doing it perfect. And that doesn't mean like saving up for 2 years to buy the herb that you need to do a certain spell.
It just means doing it the best that you can in the moment. And somebody told me something once, or I read it in a book that really stuck with me. Oh, I wish I could remember where it came from. But the guy, it was an author, and he said, I do my best writing every day. I do the very best I can. And he says, some days the very best I can is 10,000 words. Sometimes it's 200 words. It depends on who I am at that moment and what my best is at that moment. And that is so true for all of us. So, like, what you do today and what you do tomorrow, like when you're doing magic, when you're doing your job, when you're doing anything, just remember our best varies from day to day and moment to moment. So, just do your best. And right? You know inside your heart and your soul if you're doing your best. And sometimes you're like, dude, just getting out of bed today is about all I can manage. And then some days you're on fire and you can do all kinds of stuff. So do your best. But there are lots of different kinds of magic that have steps and sequences and sigils and symbols. And if you get them wrong, your magic will still usually work, right? And, I've done some of the rituals from the book that I talked about in the last episode, Seven Spheres, I think. And he lays it out step by step, which is really nice. And sometimes I've changed certain things. I may have changed the color of a candle, or I may have changed the kind of incense. Well, because one felt more right to me, or because in this case I didn't, but in certain things, like maybe something calls for making a charm bag that has vervain in it, and I don't have vervain, but I have rosemary, or I can look and see, like, what do I have that could work, right? You don't need to go broke to do magic. You don't need to buy like some exotic thing unless you just like really feel deeply that you need it and you can afford it and you can get it. That might be your best. But sometimes your best might be a white candle because you don't have a red one, and it might be a bay leaf because you don't have Solomon's seal. You do your best, right? And intention, that is the key, my dears. Intention, I think, like that trumps out belief, that trumps out your vibe, just like putting yourself into it. And I talk about this a lot in like my book, Personal Alchemy, because that's what alchemy is different than a lot of things, because you're putting your personal energy in it. That doesn't actually mean that you have to be high vibe all the time. It doesn't mean that you have to believe all the time. It's like you, dude, the essence of you, and how much of you are you willing to let in? Because you are perfect, right? Imperfectly perfect because we're in this physical body. But you have what some people would call a holy guardian angel or a higher self, or whatever you call it. There's a part of you that is perfect, that is fully you. And I believe like that's what alchemy is all about, is coming back into letting go of all the junk that we pick up and just being fully ourselves. And intention is really helpful for doing that, and giving yourself grace and allowing the universe or God or whoever you work with to give you grace. Magic should be fun, not hard. And that's not to say that there's not benefits to doing things that are hard for you. Like, hard for me was getting in a habit of making offerings. For some people, hard, I mean, I think for a lot of us, hard is the part of like being disciplined and doing steps and doing them daily. Or if someone's doing a longer ritual, there can be benefit to following steps that you read in a grimoire, or that, were given to you by a spiritual teacher or downloaded from your ancestors. The main thing is have fun, enjoy, like seriously. If you want to dabble in magic, enjoy the process. That's what it's really all about. It's not so much about the outcome, although we all like the outcomes, but that intention, that shift in yourself, that shift in your energy, that allowing yourself to be more deeply into who you are, that's the stuff, right? Oh yeah, and it doesn't hurt to believe in magic. That's just a little joke there since I started out saying you don't have to believe. That's one of those little fun paradoxes. But go out, try something fun, enjoy, and don't worry about your vibration. Don't worry about having the right color candle. And don't worry if you don't believe fully or if you don't believe at all. If you feel drawn to do something magical in your life, just do it. Just do it. And before I send you out in the world to just do it, I would like to invite any of you who have been doing it or have done it or, who have a story to tell about their magic, because that's the kind of thing I want to share with everyone, because I'm one person and I know so many people who do so many cool magical things in their life. So those of you who are willing to talk and share with each other, you will be a shining example of how you don't have to do everything right and perfect to have a magical life. So I invite you, if you're one of those people, to reach out to me. You can go to dailyalchemy.com and you can DM me. On the bottom of my website, there are links to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and to email me. You can do any or all of those things, and I'll get back with you and I'll get you on the podcast to share your magical life with everyone here. And if you're shy or you just prefer to remain anonymous, that's cool. And if you own a business, be it a magical business or not, and you want to shout that out, I definitely will share that all around with the show notes and on all my sites as a big thank you for sharing your magic with the world through this podcast. All right, guys, I am out until next time. So until then, let's be change-making descendants. Let's be future exalted ancestors, and let's live magically in the now.